Well, it is another chilly morning. I guess it was 60 degrees Fahrenheit and probably pretty high humidity, so it makes it pretty cold feeling out here. I would be comfortable in a light jacket. But I'm sure if we started digging in the ground and running around and doing a lot of garden work, it'd be the opposite. It'd be like sweating. So what are we going to do in the garden today? Are we going to do anything in the garden today? Are we going to start scoping out a place to put a banana circle maybe? Or are we going to go get a bunch of those little loquats and put them in 1-gallon containers, make sure they do well for a few weeks, and then give them to the garden community around here? One of the things that I have thought about is that I have at least 2 elderberries that seem to be ever-bearing. So, I got my 2015 best, which I probably will just name 2015, just to have a short title. And I should propagate the 2015, put singles, 5, 10, whatever, in containers. And I should propagate the two ever-bearing ones in a duo or dual, both types in one container. Kind of like how they sell kiwis in, the big box stores, male and female, but 2 ever-bearing, genetically different ones to see if they will pollinate each other and bring those berries, pollinate each other, get good fruit production. And by fruit production, I mean extending the season past when most of the other elderberries have stopped blooming. So ever-bearing, extended season, that's the way I look at it. Doesn't mean it blooms all year round, because there's a lot of things that are called ever-bearing that don't produce fruit year-round. They just may produce 2 or 3 or 4, figs, mulberries, or whatever. I've never seen anything that I know of that produces year-round. Definitely going to have at least 2 little walking iris plants to give away, maybe 3, whenever we do this, but I don't know how I want to do this because some plants are going to need a few weeks or whatever to settle to make sure they're good in their pots. So I may just, give a handful, at a time, every few weeks. Take them to the local garden club and have them give them away or raffle them. Or we may just do like massive amounts at a time, a full trunk load of plants one week and, another trunk load and, a month or 2 later. So right now we're separating these North American purple sweet potatoes, which seem to be pretty rare. I got 3 of them potted so far. A lot of them, just from where I pulled them up, had already started getting roots, so these guys should be easy. So we potted 10 of them up. We probably could have made 2 or 3 or 4 more by cutting the stems, although I do need to find a place for 1 or 2 of these to go in the ground or in a bed or something. I don't think I have time today. Now, a couple of them look pretty bad because I forgot and left this whole container in water, so there is some rot, but there looks like some good roots, and especially those 2 there, and I think they're going to recover. We'll see. So these 10, they'll grow, they'll make 100 or 1,000 or however many, as long as you keep cutting slips on them, 12 plus inches a piece. The longer, the easier it is to root, or you can root the small pieces in water, 8, 10, 12-inch pieces. But, I find that it just at a certain size, you can stick it directly in the ground and it'll root. I think I'll probably have a few dragon fruit pieces to root as well, just for people that want to really give their plants some cold protection in the winter and to experiment with them. I think they're night blooming, so can they get pollination from this specific one? Some of them I think are self-pollinating. Some of them I think require another pollinator, but I'm not 100% sure. When I got these dragon fruits, like the one I put in that mystery or monkey wrench bed number 2, I think I bought them on sale or something from Walmart or Lowe's, $9. And for the first year or two, I just propagated them. And I had probably like 20 or 30 buckets of them in the wintertime. And some of them had like 10 foot or more, branches, and some of them had multiple branches. So there was like hundreds of feet of, dragon fruit. I didn't tie them up. I didn't put them in a bucket and stake them up or anything like that, or prune them in a certain way. Never got flowers on them, and eventually, that was just too hard, I guess, to take care of, hundreds of feet of, I'm going to call them vines, because they're basically like a vine. Just all in the dining room, and there's just too much. So I just put them out in a variety of pots outside, and shady areas, maybe a little bit of a microclimate. Most of them over time died, and that's just the remnants of what's left. And let's look at this fantastic avocado. This was the biggest one we had that we put in the ground in this raised bed number 2. And it took the most of that drought damage and sun damage. So it's got the growth of like a 1 or 3 gallon avocado now, and hopefully it'll survive the winter. But where it survived at, this is what's strange, is it had these limbs underneath all these weeds, like 1 or 2 limbs, and it had some leaves that I found after I thought it was toast. I said, okay, it's still alive, barely, but, these weeds were covering it from the sun. But as soon as it put out that top growth, after all this drought and summertime left us, all them branches that these weeds were protecting died. So that's what you got right there. You just, from there to there, that's what's left. All the bottom branches that kept it alive have passed on. So maybe it's the plant's own defenses, to say, okay, we need this sunlight. We made it through, so let's go ahead and kill off, let's go ahead and just eject this and put our power, our energy reserves into growing, this. I don't know. And before I go into like getting a bunch of mulberry seedlings and potting them up, I probably should ask the local garden club people if they'd be even interested in seeds, seedlings, of the, open pollinated mulberries, or they don't really know the parentage. But with that said, I definitely need to root some of the dwarf everbearing black ones for people, and it's probably cool enough weather to go ahead and start doing that. We just need to be able to separate them and know what they are, or label them, A couple cuttings from this Suriname spinach. I don't know if that piece is too green to make 2 out of that, but you can see it was fixing to bloom. So maybe we should just play it safe and try to get 2 cuttings from this guy. Arrowroot, look at there. Big old arrowroot there coming out of that little container. We could probably make that into several smaller ones, but I think I'm just gonna upsize that into one, like a 1 gallon pot. All right, we found another one. It's kind of leggy from being in the shade too much, and it really needed to be possibly repotted in a bigger pot. So we can get probably 3 or more cuttings off of this guy and try to root it. And yeah, we do need to keep a couple for ourselves just in case. I don't remember if we planted any of these in the ground. It's been several more hours, and I think I'm gonna try to do some of these blue sages, and the dog or somebody just broke this long piece, so I need to cut it. Since I haven't had good luck getting these guys to root, what I'm gonna do is just put them all in one little gallon pot and hope for the best. and separate if anything roots later on. All right, so there's about 8 or 10 right there, and we'll see if it's just a numbers game. I got a handful of pinta tops from pintas. Not sure if they have any use in a permaculture garden, but just for the heck of it, let's put these in a gallon pot and see if they root. So let's go see if we can find some mulberry tree seedlings growing in not so ideal spots. Probably most of them that pop up are in the not so ideal spot, but maybe there's some that we absolutely cannot have there, like in a driveway or something, or a walkway. And we got 5, 10 or so right here, and probably an 8-foot section. This guy right here, see if I can pull it. Yep, probably need 2 arms for some of these. There we go. Well, in about 2 minutes, I got, I think, about 11 here, different sizes. Hold up, maybe another 12 or so loquats, smaller ones. Some of them might be in that 2 to 3 gallon range, but hopefully we can get all these in 1 gallon. Well, that was a lot of work potting all these guys here. How many have I done over the last 2 days or 3 days? 100? Probably. These mulberries, the first one I potted is already drooping. It's probably going to lose all of its leaves. So we might have to go through a second phase of growing them. We probably should have put them in the full sun, but you know, that's a lot of work putting them back in the wagon and carrying them, you know, several hundred feet away. You know, it takes several wagon loads, but I mean, it's possible, but I think, you know, we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to get like 48 degrees Wednesday. Today is Monday. So in 2 days, 48-degree nights. We have probably a ton more smaller loquats in the ground. Definitely a ton more mulberries all over the place in the ground. So we're not running low, but we probably are starting to run low on those 1 gallon pots. And some of the things that we did put in 1 gallon pots were big enough for probably 2 or 3 gallon pots. But you know, potting soil is something we're going to run low on as well if we did that. These mulberries really don't do well in the plastic containers because they go right through the containers and down into the ground just in a matter of months, not like a season or 2. So they probably, you know, if we were going to keep them in there for 1, 2, 3 years or something and grow them, we'd probably want them in an air printing container. And you're probably wondering, like, you know, if containers are so expensive and all, why are you giving them away? You know, why are you going to donate, you know, so much to the community, the garden community? And I guess there probably are multiple answers. One, you know, the garden community has given me a lot. There's especially one person that has given me a whole lot, and she gives the garden community a whole lot as well. And it's a good way to pay back. You know, this is saying, you know, even if she says, okay, I only want 2 of the 30 or 500 things you have, you know, you're giving her back something to say thank you for giving me something. And you know, if you do the same things as other people do, you know, that give, you know, you become a big part of the positivity and this, you know, promoting gardening and stuff like that. You know, gardening should always be a positive thing, especially when you're doing non-essential, you know, fruits and stuff. You're not relying on these carrots here, potatoes, to make it so that your family can survive. These are sort of extras. You know, now you're going to have some loquats. Now you're going to have some mulberries to make some mulberry pies or jams or something. You got your sweet potatoes. You can build you a mound and start growing those potatoes and putting something on your plate, something a little bit extra. Now you have those Mexican totones. You did not do well with comfrey because they really don't do super well in our atmosphere, our climate here. But now you got a chop and drop tree. You know, basically a tree that gets 16 foot high in a single season. Have a selection of fig trees. And you once only knew about Celeste and brown turkey, maybe Black Mission or Cadota, or, you know, a couple of those other ones. But you didn't realize there could be 50 or more that could grow in your climate and possibly do well. Some of them may have problems with nematodes. You just graft onto Celeste or whatever. Now you have avocados. Somebody's giving you pits or seeds or sprouts or, of the Mexican type that are more cold hardy. You never knew you could grow an avocado, and all of a sudden you got 2 or 5 or 10 and they're doing wonderful. Hopefully you have pineapple guavas. Now you have strawberry or cattleya guavas. Now you have lemon or yellow guavas. And you never knew you could grow, these not true guavas like the pineapple or feijoa. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And you never knew you could grow the cattleyas or some of the other ones, like maybe the cherry guava, mountain guava. They never have known that there are improved varieties, grafted varieties, and air-layered varieties of loquats. You may never have known that there are more than like 2 types of persimmons, Fuyu and Tananashi and Gyro and stuff. There's probably hundreds that you can get. Or this more cold hardy pineapple here. But I think that's about it for today. Male papaya tree here. Yeah, I need to find my plant tags, and I probably need to take clippings from my dwarf everbearing mulberry and try to get a bunch of cuttings from it rooted to give to the community as well. And I'll see if any of the other types I can just take a little cutting or 2 of any of them and just try to keep propagating them. Keep some going in buckets. I should have put everything in buckets just so that I had something that wasn't going to get overrun by weeds or whatever in the ground, or maybe flooded, so I could use that as a mother plant to take cuttings off of, and then use, I say mother plant, I should say backup plant, a backup tree, so that when I put those cuttings in the ground, or rooted cuttings, that if they do not do well, I always have that backup in the pot. I'd also like to mention that I'm looking at both mountain papayas and babaco. And sometimes when you search for babaco, it has an alternative name called mountain papaya, but I believe it is a different species, probably a little bit less cold hardy than the mountain papaya. And a lot of times when you look at the description of mountain papaya, it's more of a vegetable like, or you have to add sugar or maybe cook it because the enzyme levels of some of it may be so bad that it would kind of burn your lips or whatever, the papain or whatever, just like a major high level of that. And I think the true babaco / mountain papaya, maybe a hybrid or something, and I think it's better for fresh eating. Now, here's the thing. I've seen descriptions say seedless, yet there are seeds you can buy, online for them. Babaco is a pretty expensive plant, even just to get a starter plant. It's like $30+, and some of them say, they may need a pollinator, so you might be better off getting seeds and just seeing if you get hermaphrodite or male or female or what. And best case scenario, you get a handful of seeds and you get some sort of mixed sex plants that will pollinate each other. Mountain papayas are the most cold hardy papayas, and people grow a lot of these tropical or subtropical papayas successfully, unsuccessfully, sometimes putting a greenhouse over them, sometimes growing them in a container for a year where they're protected, brought inside during the freezes, or putting a water barrel beside of it. People still get, or putting them in a banana circle or whatever. People still are able to get fruit from papayas, just the tropical or whatever. And even here, even in colder climates. The trick back in the day was to overwinter them, you know, in the harsh nights or whatever inside in a container. Plant them out in, you know, after the fear of the last frost is over. Have them for fruit one time, and most likely the next winter they die. And you just rotate them, you know, just keeping, you know, a few of them in containers at all times, and then planting a few out every year. If you get lucky, you may get 3 or 5 years, you know, if you're on a south wall or something in mild winters. I had one that probably lived for 5 years. The first major dieback, it died probably within like 18 inches, 2 foot or something from the container. Then it brought up 2 trunks, so 2 sections of fruiting sections or whatever, and they produced fruit with 1 single plant, no seeds at all. Yeah, we got to get the ball rolling, get some more stuff propagated, but that's not going to be today. I think I'm pooped out. Take care, guys.